What is good, you guys? This is Steven with All Talk On, and it's time for another budget build done for real. So today we're going to be taking a look at a build, and I'm gonna title it $350 because it comes out at $366. But I feel like there's definitely ways you could shave the price down to $350. Just $366 is what I got it at. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So first up, obviously, since we're on an extreme budget like $350 or under $400 budget, we're probably going to be using something like this. This is an Intel Pentium Skylake, of course, LGA 1151 G4400. Now I put this in one of my other videos and was kind of comparing it to the Pentium 3258 because this does run around the same. In fact, I was able to pick it up for $65, and it is not overclockable, and if I'm correct, it runs at 3.2 or 3.3 gigahertz. I don't really remember, but the gigahertz, as we know, is not the most important thing about the CPU. It's overall the architecture and how it functions on the inside that really matters. So I was able to get this for cheap, and that's why we're going to be using it. And after the benchmarks, I will be talking a little bit about this, comparing it to the 3258, because I got some exciting things for this. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the motherboard. So I went with this. This is the Asrock H110M HDS motherboard, super alloy. So it's an Asrock motherboard. Literally, I bought it because it was the cheapest one that I could find for this. So it's on the H110 chipset, just super bare bones. Unlike the older motherboards, it now says on it, Windows 10 support, which is cool. I don't know if you guys know, but there are some motherboards out there that do have the fast boot, but only works with Windows 8.1. So the fast boot option doesn't work with Windows 10, or like it'll not boot as fast as you would want it to, as you would think it would, comparing it to Windows 8. So now obviously these are all included with the Windows 10 logo on it. Since it is new, it supports DDR4 2133 megahertz. I believe that's as high as it'll allow you to go. LGA 1151 socket, standard stuff, man. It's going to have our USB 2.0 ports on there, which, believe it or not, there are a lot of motherboards that are coming out nowadays that do not have those 2.0 ports. So if your case has the headers or the plugs for 2.0 for the front I/O, then you might want to make sure your motherboard has those. This does have USB 3.0 as well, which has become a standard on newer motherboards, at least that I could tell. So yeah, we went with it, and I think I paid, let me see, this was $52. So I only paid $52 for this. Like I said, that's one of the main reasons I grabbed it, because it was so cheap. Next is the RAM. So I went with something cheap. The RAM is not in here because it's currently inside of the computer. But this is like G.Skill performance value RAM. It says high performance on it, memory kit. So this was one 8 gig stick, 2133 megahertz, I believe, which is all that the Pentium supports as well. That is the motherboard only supports that as well. So I didn't need to go super high speeds, and I was able to pick it up for, I believe, $35, which is actually a really good price for something like this. I found it on sale. There was no fancy heatsink on this. There'll be footage of the actual computer probably later on in the video, so you can actually see with the RAM. But it just looks like a normal black stick of RAM, and pretty standard stuff, DDR4, just something to get the system going. Next is the graphics card. Now, I did a review on this card. This is the XFX R7 360. This is actually a different one, though. The box for the one I did the review on is back there. So this is, I did end up getting another one for this build. For reasons that I don't really know, just to have two full computers, I guess. So anyways, this 2 gig card, GDDR5, it'll get the job done. If you guys haven't seen my benchmarks on this card, pairing it with the Pentium G and with the FX 4350, it does fairly well and is able to handle most titles nowadays at anywhere from medium to high settings, depending on the title. Also, I mean, the newer stuff, if like the really pretty games, you might be running it like a mix of low and medium. But overall, for what the price on this thing, I got it for $100, and like I said, it gets the job done for that price, and that's why I went with it instead of something like a 750 Ti. I wanted something new, brand new, as far as like the releases go, either something in the 900 series or the 300 series, and because this was cheaper, I grabbed it. We didn't really have any more room for anything more expensive because we were already at $366, but $100 for this GPU, I've already said it before, I would buy it. Up next, we have the power supply, and I did not know that they came in these kinds of boxes. So this is a square box, and that really kind of surprised me when I grabbed it. So it's, I might just hit my mic. It's an EVGA 400 watt power supply. Now, if you guys remember me saying that you don't need a 500 watt power supply for that graphics card, even though they do recommend it, I'm going to use a 400 watt because it doesn't even pull anywhere near this amount of power under full load from the wall. So I'm not worried about it. I wouldn't mind recommending a 400 watt power supply for it. It's a pretty low consumption graphics card, as well as the CPU is like, I believe, like a 65 watts or less than that. So really low powered stuff in there, or low power consuming stuff in there. So I didn't mind using something like this. It's pretty standard. Honestly, I just really liked how it came in a little square box because that's new for me. I've been always getting the rectangle shoe boxes. So yeah, EVGA 400 watt power supply. I paid $30 for it. So once again, another decent deal. That's why I grabbed it. Last but not least, I'll probably just be putting up video footage because it's a computer case and I'm not going to hold the case up. So it's a Fractal Design Core 1000 computer case. I got it for $30 and free shipping from Newegg. So all these parts were actually purchased off of Newegg. So for $30, I would have to say that is definitely one of the best cases I've ever purchased for $30. It has no side window, sadly, but it's got all these other crazy features that you wouldn't expect from a case that low. And I've been messing around with a lot of DIY cases and deep cool cases and kind of like those ones. And I would say that this build quality on this case is definitely higher, as well as some of the features they offer are definitely more sensible. It sucks that it doesn't have the window, but at the same time, for $30, I mean, everything else it offers was just through the roof. So for a $30 case, I would definitely recommend it, and that's why I grabbed it, because it was cheap, 30 bucks, free shipping, cannot argue with it. So yeah, that's the build. So now we get to go ahead and look at all the benchmarks. I believe I didn't miss any parts here. Oh yeah, hard drive, last one, you guys. We have the hard drive, which was a Western Digital Blue, 1 terabyte. Once again, I don't have it in my hand. It's in the computer. So it was a 1 terabyte, 7,200 RPM, SATA 3, 6 gigabit per second, 64 megs of cache. Your standard 7,200 RPM hard drive, 1 terabyte of space. And it's a blue hard drive, so it's actually quieter, decent amount quieter than the Seagate ones, though not quite as fast. And it's been getting the job done just perfectly. I was able to pick that up for $54. So in total, we had a $366 build. And now it's time for the benchmarks. Go. So after running the benchmarks, we can see that this computer is definitely worth its price tag and holds its own as far as being a super low budget and Skylake. So it is very possible to get yourself the newest stuff possible, like, you know, like I said, the new graphics card, the new types of RAM that they're offering in different speeds, as well as new motherboards and chipsets, and the new CPU with architecture, all for roughly the same price that you would be able to do it with the older stuff. Obviously, going for the older stuff, you might be able to get something slightly more better performing in certain types of tasks, simply because it's older. I mean, you can get an R9 270 or 270X sometimes on sale for $100 to $110, which is definitely better than a 360. Or you could get yourself, honestly, $60 for that CPU is actually a pretty good deal. It'd be kind of hard to beat. Now, when comparing it to the 3258, now because they cost the same price, you might want to get the 3258 simply because it's overclockable and will perform better. Now, I found something weird with it. I actually tweeted about it a little bit ago. I was testing Grand Theft Auto with it, and we all know that the Pentium G does not like Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto doesn't like the Pentium G. It stutters uncontrollably, regardless if you're on low settings, 720p. It doesn't matter. It just stutters. It just does not run well. I did not have the stutter issue with the G4400. I have no idea why. They're both dual-core CPUs. Maybe it's just how it's handling the load, and Intel's new architecture apparently is helping with that, because it did not stutter whatsoever. I was able to play the game, medium settings, smooth frame rate, very playable, without a problem, no stuttering. It was like I was playing on like the AMD quad cores or something, because the AMD quad cores, they don't stutter on it, but like I said, the Pentium 3258 stutters like a bitch. Whether it's at stock speeds or at overclock speeds, it didn't matter if it was 4.6 gigahertz, it still stuttered. So like I said, the fact that the 4400 was not stuttering, I would definitely lean towards that, because it seems like it would be more future-proof as far as well. Obviously, it is more future-proof being on the 1151 socket, but for the fact that it just wasn't causing the stuttering, it's doing something better than the Pentium G was. Not to mention the frame rates are roughly about the same, if not better, just no stuttering. So very playable with GTA 5. So I would suggest that CPU if you were going to play GTA 5. If you don't care for GTA 5, then probably go for the Pentium 3258. But if GTA 5 is a game you actually want to play and would be very upset if you couldn't play it, I would go for the G4400, simply because it doesn't stutter at all, and it actually is a very playable experience. So that's my Skylake build for you guys. Hope you enjoyed. There'll be more coming in the future, as well as better lighting. I'm sick of my lighting. It looks terrible, and I'm working on it. So hopefully that'll be in soon. And yeah, catch you guys later.